Hi everyone, it's Kaycie, and today I'm going to guide you through a little mini yin class. The focus is going to be on heart opening, getting into the shoulders a little bit, and all we should need today are 2 blocks. You could probably use a bolster at home in replacement of blocks if you have one, but let's dive right in. Stay in a nice comfortable seated position. We'll take a few grounding breaths, get a little dynamic movement in the body, and then we'll start to settle in with the props. Close the eyes, feel the body kind of rock side to side until you feel a firm rooting all the way down through the sit bones. Lift all the way through the crown of your head, and then feel the shoulders gently melting down the back. Relax all the muscles in your face. And exhale, let your breath release out of the body. Slow breath in, expand in your belly, all the way up into your chest and your shoulders. And exhale through the nose, release from the chest back down through the belly. 2 more, slow inhale, belly, lower back, ribs, and all the way into the upper back, shoulders and chest. Hold the breath. Through the nose, exhale, melt the breath all the way back out, slow and steady. Go ahead and take 1 more here on your own. Start to link up with your own pace. Go ahead and gently blink open through the eyes. Okay, so we're going to start to really connect the breath with a little bit of movement, and then we'll maintain the breath as we drop into more still shapes. So let's make our way to a tabletop position, coming onto all fours. Shoulders over wrists, fingers spread wide, and hips over knees. Take a deep breath in, expand the lungs open, and then exhale, chin to your chest, wrap the tail under, curl your spine. Inhale, drop the belly, create space as you lift the chest, lift the sit bones, full extension in the spine. And exhale, rounding back in. Moving on your own. Each inhale you find length, and each exhale rounding out. And then incorporate the movements that feel good. Play with it a little bit. The breath is going to be the indicator today when we go into the depth of our postures to kind of recognize where our thresholds lie. Okay, make your way back into neutral spine. We're going to make our way all the way down onto the bellies. So maybe dropping down onto the forearms and then all the way down onto the hips. Legs long behind you. So we're going to kind of do an open rotation from our bellies, opening into the shoulders. So let's take the right arm out to the right side, palms facing down. And left hand comes like a push-up position underneath your left shoulder. So palm down to the ground with the elbow bent. I'm going to place the right cheek down towards the ground, bending into the left knee, and just pressing over onto the right side body. Letting that left foot either drop to the ground right behind me, or I can relax the left knee down. Maybe it rests on top of the right knee, but I'm still opening up the front side of my body. If I need to, I can walk my right fingertips away a little bit, create more space into the shoulder. Or if having trouble releasing the head to the ground, feel free to take a block or a pillow if you have one at home and just relax your head onto that instead. All right, so once you find that shape, try to relax into it a little bit here. Your left hand can either stay to the ground in front of you, or maybe drop the left hand around to your lower back. Now, once you're here, just focus on slowing your breath down. Slow, intentional breaths, feeling yourself melt through any discomfort or any tension on each exhale, just letting something go. We'll be here about 6 more slow breaths. Try not to rush the process. Two more breaths. Maybe feel yourself sink in just a little deeper, or let the breath guide you. If the left hand did adjust, go ahead and bring it back to the ground in front of you to help slow the momentum as you roll back onto your hips and your belly, slow and controlled. Switch your hands. Right hand plants underneath the right shoulder in that push-up position. Left arm reaches to the left with the palm down. I'm going to go ahead and rest the left cheek down to the floor. Right knee bends. And then we're going to press through the right hand and roll open onto the left hip. Maybe walk your left fingertips away for more space. And same options apply. Right foot can set to the ground with the knee pointing up to kind of focus on the opening through the front side of the body. Maybe it rests on top. Okay. And then from here, if you need the block underneath the head, this is a great time. And your right hand can stay or drape it around into the lower back, providing just a little extra opening through the heart space and into the shoulder. And then close your eyes and really start to connect to the sensations that you're feeling. If you're feeling a whole lot, really paying attention to your breath. Use the breath to kind of soothe through those layers. Softening, melting in. If you don't quite feel enough, just allow yourself to roll open. Find that threshold, but the breath stays smooth. We're going to take about 6 more breaths. Two more here. Same thing, maybe feel yourself sink open a little bit deeper. If you did adjust your right hand, go ahead and bring it back over, pressing your palm into the ground, and slowly allow yourself to roll back onto the belly, onto the hips. Taking both hands, stacking them underneath your head, and just rest your head down for a moment. Maybe bend the knees, little windshield wipers with your feet side to side. And then let the legs come back down to the ground. Plant the hands underneath your shoulders. Once again, setting up like a push-up position or anywhere along your ribs is just fine. And as you press down into your hands, pull your hands back towards your hips to energetically feel your heart draw forward. And then inhale, lift up into your variation of a cobra. Maybe you only bend the elbows maybe a little bit. Maybe you keep pressing. Maybe the arms fully straighten out. Open up the chest, shoulders relax, heart lifts. One more breath. And then hinge back at the hips, drawing into a child's pose here for a moment, knees together or wide. Let your body round over your legs, let your head drop. Arms can stay forward, maybe bend the elbows out or sweep arms to the sides. Couple breaths here. Alrighty, as we come up, we're gonna grab our blocks as an option. You do not have to use the blocks. I'm gonna show this as the variation, but it can easily be done by just eliminating the blocks altogether. And I'll show you real quickly. We're gonna come into puppy pose where the hands walk forward and you melt the chest down. Okay, so if the blocks just don't feel good for you, ditch them and come into that variation where the elbows can drop down to the ground as well. Okay, otherwise, go ahead and grab your blocks. And as we grab the blocks, I'm gonna take them about shoulder width apart here. Now, I would prefer them being laying flat down on the ground, but feel free if you wanna take them up onto their side, so long as they feel nice and stable. The higher they go, they tend to become a little less stable, okay? So make sure they're not wobbling all over the place, or just move a little slower and mindfully in and out of the posture. So shoulder width apart, and we're gonna keep the hips stacked over the knees for the entirety of this position. So maybe walk the knees back. If you need to adjust the blocks forward, you can do that as well. But we're gonna slowly lower one elbow at a time down to the ground. Now, same thing, my hips are gonna stay stacked over the knees, even if the knees need to adjust. Now, a couple options for the arms. First option is you can extend them out long and just melt the chest, okay? And still I need to walk my knees back as I drop the chest so that the hips stay stacked, okay? That's option one. Or keep the elbows bent, take the hands together in a prayer position. Maybe walk the knees back as you melt the chest once again. The head doesn't have to touch the ground, but it can go ahead and just settle towards the floor. And the fingers can either stay pointing up, or you can keep bending the elbows until the thumbs touch the back of the neck. The choice is yours, whatever variation you would like to come into. So once again, if that's too much, come out of it, extend the arms. I tend to find extending the arms takes a little bit of the pressure off, okay, but play with it for yourself. And if you are gonna come in and out of variations, come out of the depth first, reposition, and then drop back in. So with or without your blocks, find your variation, arms extended or elbows bent. Make sure hips are over the knees as you settle in. And once again, adjust as much as you need to, but adjust mindfully. This one does create a lot of tension into the shoulders. So if you need to come in and out, come in and out. Or if you feel like you're going too far, back off. Maybe drop down onto the ground versus being lifted with the blocks. Or you can do just one arm, especially if you have any kind of impingement or injury in a shoulder. Try not to push through that. Really listen to your bodies. Let's try to take 6 more slow, deep breaths, whatever variation you're in. Melting through each exhale, letting something go. One more breath. Slowly lift the chest as you come up, release the arms, and then one arm at a time, just set your palms off of the blocks down to the ground. And let's just sit back on the heels for a moment. Set the blocks out of your way, just for now. Come back to them. And let yourself melt into a child's pose, arms drop down to the sides. You can stay right here for a few breaths. You can move however you choose, or you can tuck your chin to your chest,
Grab a hold of your heels and maybe roll up onto the crown of your head. One more breath. Hips slowly melt down, coming all the way back up into a nice upright seated position. So we're gonna sit off to our hip and we're gonna set up our blocks here. How we're gonna set up the blocks, we're gonna kind of open a little bit into some twists and rotation, but also kind of targeting into the shoulder and into the chest, and then we'll start to open up into a nice heart opener from a reclined position. So taking your blocks, and we're gonna put them towards the back of our mats. One is gonna support around your head, and one is gonna support around your torso. So we'll make adjustments as we need to, but we'll set them off down onto the mat on their flattest point. You will be able to adjust, so especially for the head may come up a little bit higher, but I like to start with them at their lowest setting. So go ahead and back into your first block. Your legs are gonna tip over to the left side. So from a seated position with my knees bent, I'm just gonna let my knees drop to the left side and let my entire body kind of shift onto my left hip. Now, if your hip is touching the block, I like just a little bit of a gap so that my hip bone itself is not gonna be pushing into the block, okay? Hands are gonna come down to either side of the blocks. Nice long spine. And then twisting my ribs and chest. So I'm really trying to get my chest to frame over the blocks even more. And then from here, slowly starting to walk the hands down the length of the blocks, down the length of my mat, maybe coming down onto my forearms. Okay, if this is it for you, this is as far as your body is allowing, that's okay. If you need to, you can also adjust the blocks to be up at a higher setting for a little extra support, okay? Just make sure it's not gonna be poking you in the ribs. If you need blankets or anything to just rest on top, that's a great alternative as well. But otherwise, you're gonna slowly see if you can lower your ribs. It's okay to have a little shifting in your hips, settle into it. Maybe your ribs kind of touch down onto that bottom block. If you need to adjust the head block up a little higher, maybe resting your left cheek all the way down onto that block, or keep it on its lower setting and settle from there. Now, if you are feeling pretty open in the spine, you can also lengthen out, and then you're going to twist head to the left side and then rest the right cheek down at whatever setting that block is at. Now, as you rest here, you should be able to still take deep breaths. So if you feel like you're holding your breath because there's too much tension, back off. But once you find your breath, stay here, or to add a little more opening into the shoulder, start to walk your right fingertips off the mat, out in front of you, and just reach and extend the arm out as much as you can, palm lies flat. If you want to come up on the fingertips, you totally can. I like the palm flat because I can relax a little bit through the arm while still getting a nice little stretch into the shoulder. So settle in wherever you are and give yourself about 6 slow breaths. One more breath here. If you extended your right arm out, walk the fingers back in, elbow nice and heavy, until you can walk both hands in, planting the palms, And as you press through the palms, let the chin drop to the chest, lifting all the way up through the arms, and then let the head roll up nice and slow. And then right arm reaches back behind to open up the front side of the body and just lift the knees back to center. Okay. We're gonna go into that on the other side. So with the knees bent, go ahead and face away from the blocks and let your knees drop off to the right side. Now I'm gonna scoop my hips so it's a little bit closer towards that bottom block. Once again, we try to create a little bit of gap, but you can always adjust them. Hands to either side of the blocks. Long spine here as I extend the chest away from the hip line. And then walk the hands down the length of the mat. Maybe come down onto the forearms or stay up on the hands if needed. You can shift a little bit in your hips. Maybe start to lower your lower ribs down onto that first block. Adjust the heights as needed. Maybe your right cheek lands down onto the second block. Once again, adjust the height if you'd like. Or long spine, and before the head drops, maybe turn the head to the left, opening up the chest a little bit more, and resting the left cheek down to the block. Once you settle in, stay here, make those little micro adjustments. Maybe start to walk your left arm forward until it's fully extended, palm down. And then just start to relax down into that left shoulder, into the chest. Nice, subtle sensations. Nice, deep, mindful breath. Take about 6 more here. Last breath here. If you did walk your left arm forward, slowly walk the hand back in, and then walk both of your hands in underneath your shoulders. As you press through the hands, chin drops to the chest. Begin to extend your arms all the way straight, and then let the head roll up last. Left arm sweeps behind, swivel the knees to center, and just rock the knees a little bit here. Okay. So this next one is my all-time fave, and I like to mention that if you only had time for one of these, pick whichever one feels better for you, of course. But this one is so nice and relaxing while still providing such a good deep stretch into the upper back. Or it can be nice and restorative if you want it to be. But this one is a game changer. If you could pick any of them, I would suggest this one. So we're gonna be doing a supported fish pose. Now I want you to real quick, just kind of understand the structure of this before we drop in, and then you can make adjustments according to your body. So notice as I lay my blocks here, I'm creating kind of a bench, okay? Which means as I lay back, my back is gonna be supported by these blocks, that my head is gonna be fairly level with my ribs and my heart. Okay, you're still gonna get a nice lift away from the ground to come up onto the blocks and then be supported nice and even for the rest of all the way up to the head. Okay, so this is a great option, and obviously right now they're flat. I can also take them up onto their sides. Sometimes it feels better for the one for the heart to take it sideways. Okay, same with the head, you can also take it sideways. When I take them up onto their sides, it tends to feel a little bit better to have that sideways support through kind of the bra strap line, so underneath the shoulder blades. Okay, so this is a great option, but it's still creating a bit of a shelf between the head and the heart. Great options, this provides a pretty good lift. You can also create what's more of a ramp. And the ramp is going to create a little extra support if it's hard to lay flat, which means you're just gonna elevate the head a little bit higher than wherever the heart is gonna go. So if I adjust this down, maybe I adjust the head down, and I'm still creating a bit of a ramp, which decreases that length that you're gonna need to drop all the way back into it. So especially if your head has a hard time dropping back, that can be a great support to lift it higher. Now to intensify, we're gonna create almost an arch. So rather than it going up or being flat, think about a rainbow arch. So first option might be to just take one block behind the heart. Once again, I'd like to take it sideways. And then if you lie back, you'll go heart opens, and then the head will drop all the way back to the ground, okay? If I like a little bit more heart opening, I can do it this way as well. This one can be pretty intense. So if that's a little too intense, you can always take a block underneath the head as well. And notice the head block is still lower than the heart block. So I'm still creating that bit of a arch in my spine and in my heart, but maybe decreasing some of that intensity. Okay, so I'd leave it one of these two settings, but go ahead and set your blocks up for your first initial kind of testing it out, testing the waters, but you can make adjustments throughout the entirety of the time we're holding. Okay, this is the last posture. We won't be here for too long, but go ahead and set them up. And once again, as you face away, you're gonna hold on to that first block, bring it to the bra strap line, underneath your shoulder blades, and then let your head slowly drop back. Maybe take the second block underneath the head up to create that arch, maybe to create a flat surface, or maybe to create that ramping effect. And then arms can just kind of spill out to the sides. And legs can do anything you want. So if you want to stretch them long, you can stretch them long. Butterfly the legs, soles the feet, knees wide. This will provide some nice hip opening. Or maybe just feet rest on the ground, knees bent, or resting in on each other. But let's take about 8 slow, deep breaths here. And just let yourself drop in. If you feel like you need to adjust or you want to go deeper, listen to your breath, listen to your body, and adjust accordingly. Three more breaths. And then slowly start to feel your chin draw up towards your chest as you walk the elbows back. Okay, if you're pretty close to the ground, you can always roll over to a side as well if there's not too much distance to fall off your blocks. Otherwise, slow and steady, press up onto the hands. If you're on your sides, you can slowly make your way to a seat, knees bent, feet in front of you, and then just let your body round over your legs. Couple breaths, just letting yourself ragdoll here. And then coming all the way back up to a seated position. So if you would like to take a Shavasana, feel free, lie down onto your backs, and you can hit pause and take as much time there as you'd like. That was a fairly relaxing position, so maybe that felt a lot like a Shavasana for you. So we're gonna just close out with one nice deep breath and then a little thank you and a goodbye. So hands together at your heart. Release all of your breath out. Take a slow, intentional breath in. And then just open your mouth and let it all the way out. Thank your bodies for all that they do. And thank you so much for allowing me to guide you through your practice today. Namaste. Thanks, y'all. Those are my go-to for heart opening when I want to just kind of relax and sink into a position. So I hope that felt great for you. Let me know in the comments and share with a friend. And don't forget to hit subscribe. Thanks, y'all. See you soon.